Hello, my brothers and sisters. So I'm going to go into Matthew 14. I'm going to start off with the New King James Version, and then I'm going to go to the NLT and then explain to you what I got from the Message. So it says in verse 1, "At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard the report about Jesus and said to his servants, 'This is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead, and therefore these powers are at work in him.' For Herod had laid hold of John and bound him and put him in prison for the sake of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife, because John had said to him, 'It is not lawful for you to have her.' And although he wanted to put him to death, he feared the multitude because they counted him as a prophet. But when Herod's birthday was celebrated, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod. Therefore he promised with an oath to give her whatever she might ask. So she, having been prompted by her mother, said, 'Give me John the Baptist's head here on a platter.' And the king was sorry. Nevertheless, because of the oaths and because of those who sat with him, he commanded it to be given to her. So he sent and had John beheaded in prison, and his head was brought on a platter and given to the girl, and she brought it to her mother. Then his disciples came and took away the body and buried it, and went and told Jesus." So Herodias is the wife of Herod Philip, the wife of Herod Antipas, and the mother of Salome. Salome is a daughter of Herodias and Herod Philip, and is a wife of another Herod Philip. A lot going on, right? Okay, so now I'm going to read from the NLT version, and it says in Matthew 14 on this one, it says, "And when Herod Antipas, the ruler of Galilee, heard about Jesus, he said to his advisors, 'This must be John the Baptist raised from the dead. That is why he could do such miracles.' For Herod had arrested and imprisoned John as a favor to his wife Herodias, the former wife of Herod's brother Philip. John had been telling Herod, 'It is against God's law for you to marry her.' Herod wanted to kill John, but he was afraid of a riot because all the people believed John was a prophet. But at a birthday party for Herod, Herodias' daughter performed a dance that greatly pleased him. So he promised with a vow to give her anything she wanted. At her mother's urging, the girl said, 'I want the head of John the Baptist on a tray.' Then the king regretted what he had said, but because of the vow he had made in front of his guests, he issued the necessary orders. So John was beheaded in prison, and his head was brought on a tray and given to the girl, who took it to her mother. Later, John's disciples came for his body and buried it. Then they went and told Jesus what had happened." So I'm going to go down to my notes, and there's a lot of stuff that I ended up getting to the Message. So when Herod of Galilee heard about Jesus, he said to his advisors, "This must be John the Baptist raised from the dead. That is why he can do such miracles." So when they're saying that is when people know that you are of God, when you rock with him, like when you people know, they already know what you're capable of. They will hate. They're not going to probably like you. The spirit in them is probably not going to like you, because they already know how Jesus rolls. And if you rock with Jesus, you're doing the best thing that you could do here on earth. So when they seen John, they're like hating. He did so many amazing things. And then on top of that, he rocked with Jesus? What? So Herod was then arrested and imprisoned. Herod had arrested and imprisoned John as a favor to his wife, Herodias. Herodias was actually Herod's brother's wife. So right there, it just was some messy stuff going on. But Herod arrested and imprisoned John as a favor to his wife. Why? Why do people do evil things trying to please other people? You must be very careful of this. So let's go to the next part. John had been telling Herod, it is against God's law for you to marry her. John warned Herod. Herod, I don't even know how to pronounce the name, but people don't want to hear the truth. And when you rock with Jesus, they already know what's going to come with it. Truth. And people don't want to hear the truth because it's going to expose things in their life. Some people are so prideful they don't want to change. They want to continue doing things that are wicked. So let's go to the next part. Herod wanted to kill John, but he was afraid of a riot because all the people believed John was a prophet. So Herod already knew the consequences, what would happen by touching one of Jesus's people. There's a scripture that's in the Bible that says, touch not my anointed one and do my prophets no harm. But that did not change the fact that Herod still didn't like John. But at a birthday party for Herod, Herodias' daughter performed a dance that greatly pleased him. She did a dance that greatly pleased him. What I got from this is be careful for those who lure you in by what will please you by lust or seduction, however she was dancing. But it was something she did that made him very greatly pleased. Greatly pleased. So he promised with a vow to give her anything she wanted. This is what lust will do. It will lead you to make promises you should not have made because you are now held accountable by whoever you promised a promise to. At her mother's urging, the girl said, I want the head of John the Baptist on a tray. So the mother did not like Herod because of him speaking the truth. So now she's probably manipulating her daughter, doing who knows what, urging her. And now the daughter is saying, I want the head of John the Baptist on a tray? What? Truth makes you that mad that you want the head of someone on a tray? Because they rock with Jesus and they did miracles? Is it that deep? Oh yeah, it's that deep. So the king regretted what he said, but because of the vow he had made in front of his guests, he issued the necessary orders. The king regretted what he said because he already knew. And this is why we must be very careful what we promise and say to others, because we will be held accountable. We want to please people. We're lured in by lust, seduction. We have hate, envy, and it will lead us to do some foolish things. We will say things that we should not have said. Life or death is in the power of the tongue. Blessings or curses. God makes this very known. We will be held accountable for what we say. So John was beheaded in the prison, and his head was brought on a tray and given to the girl, who took it to her mother. So the girl was in the middle, trying to please her mom. They were all used by the enemy. Be careful of these women who have no good intentions. People don't want to hear the truth. Their motives are evil. They use lust, seduction, hate, and words to lure people in. And innocent people lose their lives over wicked people. But then when you go down to verse 13, when Jesus heard the news, he left in a boat to a remote area to be alone. But then when you go down, Jesus ended up doing miracles. Okay, so that's a whole nother topic. But one thing that this story had me think of was Samson and Delilah. So let's go to Samson and Delilah, and then Proverbs 7. So let's see, where was it at? Okay, Samson and Delilah. This one's kind of long. So it says, sometime later, Samson fell in love with a woman named Delilah, who lived in the valley of Sorek. The rulers of the Philistines went to her and said, entice Samson to tell you what makes him so strong and how he could be overpowered and tied up securely. Then each of us will give you 1,100 pieces of silver. So these people knew who Jesus was. Or not Jesus, I'm sorry, Samson. So they used Delilah by manipulating her into giving her 1,100 pieces of silver. So be careful, these type of women. Delilah said to Samson, please tell me what makes you so strong and what it would take to tie you up securely. Samson replied, if I were tied up with 7 new bowstrings that have not yet been dried, I would become as weak as anyone else. So the Philistine rulers brought Delilah 7 new bowstrings, and she tied Samson up with them. She had hidden some men in one of the inner rooms of her house, and she cried out, Samson, the Philistines have come to capture you. But Samson snapped the bowstrings as a piece of string snaps when it is burned by a fire, so the secret of his strength was not discovered. Afterward, Delilah said to him, you've been making fun of me and telling me lies. Now please tell me how you could be tied up securely. Samson replied, if I were tied up with brand new ropes that had never been used, I would become as weak as anyone else. So Delilah took new ropes and tied him up with them. The men were hiding in the inner room as before, and again Delilah cried out, Samson, the Philistines have come to capture you. But again Samson snapped the ropes from his arms as if they were thread. Then Delilah said, you've been making fun of me and telling me lies. Now tell me how you could be tied up securely. Samson replied, if you were to weave the 7 braids of my hair into the fabric on your loom and tighten it with the loom shuttle, I would become as weak as anyone else. So while he slept, Delilah wove the 7 braids of his hair into the fabric. Then she tightened it with the loom shuttle. Again, she cried out, Samson, the Philistines have come to capture you. But Samson woke up, pulled back the loom shuttle, and yanked his hair away from the loom and the fabric. Delilah pouted. How can you tell me I love you when you don't share your secret to me? You've made fun of me 3 times now, and you still haven't told me what makes you so strong. She tormented him with her nagging day after day until he was sick to death of it. Finally, Samson shared his secret with her. My hair has never been cut, he confessed, for I was dedicated to God as a Nazarite from birth. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me and I would become as weak as anyone else. Delilah realized he had finally told her the truth, so she sent for the Philistine rulers. Come back one more time, she said, for he has finally told me his secret. So the Philistine rulers returned with the money in their hands. Delilah lulled Samson to sleep with his head in her lap. Then she called in a man to shave off the 7 locks of his hair. In this way, she began to bring him down, and his strength left him. She cried out, Samson, the Philistines have come to capture you. When he woke up, he thought, I will do as before and shake myself free. But he didn't realize the Lord had left him. So the Philistines captured him and gouged out his eyes. They took him to Gaza, where he was bound with bronze chains and forced to grind grain in the prison. But before long, his hair began to grow back. Whew. Be very careful of who you are talking to. There's people that are sent by the enemy to destroy the plans and the call of God on your life. You do not want the Lord to leave you, to have to learn things the hard way. Be very careful. Ask the Lord for gift of discerning of spirits. Because all it takes is for somebody to be used by somebody to be manipulated by money or whatever it may be, for them to get whatever they want. And then they will come and act like they love you and torment you and pout and all this stuff and act like they care, but really they don't. Really, they're just used by the enemy. Really, they are on an assignment to destroy your life by love, by lust, by seduction. Don't get yourself caught in this trap. Stay away from the Delilahs. Stay away from the Herodias, the Herodias' daughters. Stay away from those type of people. And then I'm going to read Proverbs 7, and then I'm going to end this message. So Proverbs 7, it says, "Follow my advice, my son. Always treasure my commands. Obey my commands and live. Guard my instructions as you guard your own eyes. Tie them on your fingers as a reminder. Write them deep within your heart. Love wisdom like a sister. Make insight a beloved member of your family. Let them protect you from an affair with an immoral woman, from listening to the flattery of a promiscuous woman. While I was at the window of my house looking through the curtain, I saw some naive young men, and one in particular who lacked common sense. He was crossing the street near the house of an immoral woman, strolling down the path by her house. It was at twilight in the evening as deep darkness fell. The woman approached him, seductively dressed and sly of heart. Be careful of these girls that are dressed seductively. She was the brash, rebellious type, never content to stay at home. She is often in the streets and markets, soliciting at every corner. She threw her arms around him and kissed him, and with a brazen look she said, "I've just made my peace offerings and fulfilled my vows. You're the one I was looking for. I came out to find you, and here you are. My bed is spread with beautiful blankets, with colored sheets of Egyptian linen. I perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let's drink our fill of love until morning. Let's enjoy each other's caresses, for my husband is not home. He's away on a long trip. He has taken a wallet full of money with him and won't return until later this month." She seduced him with her pretty speech and enticed him with her flattery. He followed her at once like an ox going to the slaughter. He was like a stag caught in a trap, awaiting the arrow that would pierce its heart. He was like a bird flying into a snare, little knowing it would cost him his life. Listen to me, my sons, and pay attention to my words. Don't let your heart stray away toward her. Don't wander down her wayward path, for she has been the ruin of many. Many men have been her victims. Her house is the road to the grave. Her bedroom is the den of death. You guys, this scripture makes me emotional. Stay away from these type of people. Stay away from these type of women. I'm sure men do this too. Stay away from people with these pretty speeches. Just because they're dressed nice don't mean they're good for you. If they are all over the place, everywhere, stay away from them. It says, don't let your heart stray away towards her. Don't wander down her wayward path, for she has been the ruin of many. Many men have been her victims. Her house is on the road to the grave. Her bedroom is the den of death. Look what happened to John the Baptist. He got his head cut off. He went to prison. He was bound, went to prison, got his head cut off because of what the wife wanted. Look what happened to Samson. He was tormented. He was tormented so bad that he gave up the secret, and then his eyes got gouged out or something, it said. And this is saying that her house is the road to the grave, her bedroom is the den of death. Do you guys not understand how serious lust is? Lust of the eyes is serious. When your heart is far from God, your heart is deceitful. It says, the human heart is the most deceitful of all things and desperately wicked. Who really knows how bad it is? You need to read Ezekiel 36:26 and ask the Lord to give you, let's read it. Let's read it, and I'm going to end this, you guys. Ezekiel. This is a New King James Version. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. I will take the heart of stone out of your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you will keep my judgments and do them. That was a pretty deep message, and I hope this message really wakes up someone's eyes. I love you guys. I just pray that you seek the Lord. Let him read. Let me read Psalms 51 real quick. That just came to my head, my heart, my spirit. And then I'm really going to end this. Okay. Have mercy upon me, O God, according to your loving kindness, according to the multitude of your tender riches. Blot out my transgressions, wash me thoroughly from my iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is always before me. Against you only have I sinned, and done this evil in your sight, that you may be found just when you speak, and blameless when you judge. Behold, I was brought forth in iniquity, and in sin my mother conceived me. Behold, you desire truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part you will make me to know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me hear joy and gladness, that the bones you have broken may rejoice. Hide your face from my sins, and blot out all my iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Do not cast me away from your presence, and do not take your Holy Spirit from me. Restore to me the joy of your salvation, and uphold me by your generous spirit. Then I will teach transgressors your ways, and sinners shall be converted to you. Deliver me from the guilt of bloodshed, O God, the God of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing aloud of your righteousness. O Lord, open my lips, and my mouth shall show forth your praise. For you do not desire sacrifice, or else I would give it. You do not delight in burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. These, O God, you will not despise. Do good in your good pleasure to Zion. Build the walls of Jerusalem. Then you shall be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offering and whole burnt offering. Then they shall offer bulls on your altar. All right, I love you guys. I hope you guys have a great night and talk soon. Bye.